Hello and welcome back to How to Connect with Humans. This is episode, do we remember?
I think it's episode 8.
Episode 8, series 2. If not, we'll have to edit this. This is how well prepared we are. We got completely fascinated talking to our guest for the past half hour. So
Episode 8.
Episode 8, that's right. So fresh in the moment.
Mhm.
Hello, Wayne, how are you?
Hello.
Hello. You look beautiful.
You too.
You're so handsome. Oh, you distract me. Anyway, so oh man, the man we have.
The man.
Yeah. So we have somebody we absolutely adore. We learned so much from him, and had huge impact in our lives. I think it was about like the first conference you went in London when you heard something about it, and he's gonna talk fresh in the moment. That's the name of the episode. But like the first time we heard about our guest was through a letter, and he couldn't be there. And this was a conference in London, the 3PGC conference, and there was probably nearly 1,000 people there, plus people online. And Jacqueline Hollows, who started Series 2 here, read this letter on behalf of Beyond Recovery and him. And I tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. You could hear a pin drop. We're all so moved, even thinking about it, just got goosebumps, and which ended with a standing ovation, and well deserved. And then Jackie obviously told us that he couldn't be there at that time. But last year, the 3PGC conference opened in London, and Jacqueline read that letter that she had read a few years ago. And after that, she said, but David Saunders, who is here today, is here today. That's what she said. And then again, the whole room with 1,000 people that were like in tears stood up to give you a standing ovation, as you should have, David. Hello, how are you? Welcome here, and thank you for coming to our series.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you. I feel like you're talking about someone else. Got a lot to live up to now. I like to set the bar low.
Hello.
It's funny when you were just talking then. That's what I literally thought. Like, while I'm talking, like, what am I going to say? Is it funny? It's how quick your mind can just goes, isn't it? How quick you make up a whole story, and it took like a second, 2 seconds, and it just what. But that's the beauty of this understanding, isn't it? It's just you can't stop the thoughts that come into your head, but you can let them go just like that. And it's like, yeah, it's just crazy. Just literally within a second or two, I made up a whole story. You just said all that nice stuff about me, and I feel like I said to you when we had a chat before this. I feel like my life, I'm living such a wonderful life, and you can't just keep saying the same things. Well, I've already said it, what I can say to you before, and it's like, well, but I said it to you too. You know, it's just the beauty of this understanding, is it, that being fresh in the moment, and that's all there ever is, isn't it? You can get it. And that's one of the things I say to people. If you can learn one thing from this understanding, it's just be in the moment, because when you're in the moment, none of the other stuff matters. You know, literally, you can't be depressed if you're in the moment. You can't be anxious. You know, depressed is like the past, anxiety is the future. But you know, like, it's being in the moment. Nothing else matters, does it? So
yeah. So Dave, for the people that are going to watch the video or maybe here today and don't know about your story, would you mind sharing a bit of your story, just for people to know what we're talking about? And
even that, my story is just you know, you're not your story is such a big thing, isn't it? I was my, like many other people, I was my story, you know, and just to know that I'm not that. It's when I say it now, it's like it's alien, like I'm talking about someone else. Because I changed so much and so many times that I just don't recognize it. But yeah, I grew up in, my mum and dad had me when they were young. My mum was 14, my dad was 15, and that was in like 1980. So it was literally different times. Then like one side of the family, dad's side is travellers, my mum's side is not. You know, we're both big families, and I don't know. Growing up, I just felt like I didn't connect, or I wasn't not. I wasn't loved. I was loved, always shown affection and love, but I just felt like there was something missing. And I'm not sure. I was dyslexic, so couldn't read them. I didn't understand because I was so, I don't know if I was shy, but I just didn't know how to put into words that I didn't understand. I didn't want to put my hand up, and back then there was no such thing as being dyslexic. You just classed as being stupid, pretty much, wouldn't you? So I started getting mucking around, getting into trouble, and you know, I remember, I don't know what age, must have been probably 7 or 8, and the teacher telling us to write stuff, and I just didn't know what to do, so I just wrote those numbers and rubbed it out, and yeah, just didn't understand things, just fighting and kicked out of schools and that. And I was brought up around crime from a young age. To crime it wasn't crime to me, it was because it wasn't just my parents that was doing it, it was their friends. So my friends' mums and dads, who was all on the council estate, so it was just everyone. So, and I still find it hard not to put the justifications in, but it was only cannabis, it was only this. But now they understand a drug's a drug, it doesn't matter. Like I really see that now. But that part of me, it's only cannabis. It's I struggle with that. But being around that, the house was always full of people and stuff. But yes, it was a game. The police would come around to raid the house and couldn't get in the house, and if they did get in, I know where the drugs, like, only drugs, but I know where stuff is. But in my head, it was like, it would be under the floorboards, but they'd be looking over there. So I don't think cold, 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 hot, warm. You know, it was just it was always a game. And just growing up, my dad would take me out robbing, and rather than taking me to school, he would take me robbing. And it was just that. So to me, it was just the norm. And it becomes in part of my belief system. To me, you couldn't tell me what I was doing was wrong, because you take your guidance from your parents, and as a parent's job, it's to teach a child from right from wrong. And if you're teaching them wrong, to me, it's like, and that's where I used to get into a lot of arguments with drugs workers and counsellors in prison, where I say I'll go around my friend's house for a cup of tea and a joint. Because I've grown up with that, and they're telling me it's wrong. This is before the understanding. Then I would get into a full-blown argument with them. I would be offended that a drugs worker was telling me that I'm in the wrong for doing that, because it was my belief that that was the norm. But they couldn't see it from my point of view, except for realities, isn't it? But yeah, so it's a norm. Then I suppose I must have been probably 12 or 13 when I first smoked my first joint and started drinking. And obviously, as the time went on, I tried different drugs. But when I found ecstasy when I was about 15, them feelings that I got from it, that loving feeling, and that, to me, it was like, well, this is what I've always been looking for. And then it was different times when you went out clubbing. You could drink and smoke, and you'd have random people coming up, give bottles of water and fags, but everyone was there to have a good time. You know, it's not like, no, you can't go and relax in places, can you? But then it was just different. So it was started off being a Friday night. Then before I knew it, it'd be taking an ecstasy on a Friday, Saturday night. Then it'd be Thursday, Friday. Then I'm selling them and going out robbing, and just a spiral. And it was just committing crimes every day. To me, that was my job. That was just the way of life. It's just what you done. I had money, I didn't have money, I still go and do stupid things. I would have them thoughts and take them seriously, because I didn't know that you didn't take them thoughts seriously. And my thoughts used to be quite extreme. Some of them were towards the end, they were. I went to prison when I was 17 the first time, over, and I really didn't like that. Really didn't like that. I was in a 6-man cell. I was bullied, just because my height, because I'm 6'4", so I've always been tall. I used to be really skinny, and yeah, so it just really didn't enjoy it. And I was in and out of prison pretty much. And every time I got out of prison, my crimes just got worse, because in prison it's a school. So you're meeting people. Say someone could go in there and be a car thief to get out, and not this is critically to go out and start doing armed robberies, because you're around people and they're talking about it and they're telling you how to do it, and it is literally a school. But I was reading books on like craze, and my friend used to say, "Oh, his dad was in the craze book." Then I've read the book, and then I've got out of prison. Then I'm meeting people that have read their books. I'm doing things with these people that have read their books, and it's like, to me, I just always wanted to be a criminal. I was literally living that life. I was making money and doing more drugs, and drugs went up and down. I'd have a drug for every occasion. If I was up, I'd have a down. If I was down, I'd have an upper, and it was just. But there's always one drug or another, or I go through stages where I do coke for a week, and I take ease for a week, or crack. Or there was always something, or a drink, and I don't know. And in 2003, my ex-girlfriend, I went with her and my baby. Then I missed out a lot of my story, because I'd rather talk about what I've seen since then, rather than talking.
Yeah.
We all know what it's like when life sucks. We've all been through heartache and pain and lived a horrible life, haven't we? I think everyone can kind of understand that, and we've all got a past. But yeah, I was there when my baby was born, and I didn't see him for about the first weeks, 10 days, I'm sure. And I don't know, I was just worried something could happen to him, and it didn't. But then I had him quite a lot. Then he was 3 months old. Well, that 1 week he was not well. I took him to the doctor, and he just wasn't well. Thursday night, he was up all night screaming. Then Friday, and on his mum's birthday, I laid down with him. I've been up with him all night. Laid down on the telly, on the settee, sorry, and Trisha was on the telly. That's how long ago it was. Trisha, and that's the only reason I knew the time started. I knew the time. I woke up an hour later, and he was dead on my chest. And literally died on my chest. Then for the next 10 days, just drink and drugs, but nothing. Nothing worked. It was working. The drink or the drugs. I was drinking bottles of Southern Comfort, and it was just. It might as well have been water. I was just in a real bad place. 10 days later, I got into a fight. I hit someone. He fell over and hit his head and died. The next day I woke up and my girlfriend had killed herself. She was dead next to me. The next day was my 23rd birthday. I got charged. On the Thursday, I went to prison. And the Friday, I went to my baby's funeral from prison. So, I think, I went to my baby's funeral. So I was handcuffed. Then I cuffed to a prison officer. There was like 6 prison officers there, in a white van. It was just so impersonal. It's just, I was there, but it was such a surreal moment, and they're just trying to rush me to get back to prison, and then I see the prison doctor, and I said to the prison doctor, I was sitting there crying, and the prison doctor said, "You need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You know, it's like, you got to stop crying, you got to stop feeling sorry for yourself." I was like, yeah. So that's kind of didn't start off too well. So I just used what I'd always used, drugs. I ended up having PTSD. Well, I didn't know it was PTSD then. I'd have flashbacks of my baby dying. I wake up in the night and think of him crying, and I'd have all these flashbacks, and they'll go and tell the doctor what's going on, and the nurses, psychiatrists, and then I started getting all the different labels of depression and reactive depression, clinically depression, like all these different labels throughout the years. And I got released. I was out 3 months, back to prison. Served another 3 years. Got out. I was out 4 months, I think. Then went for a drug dealer and had a car crash. Then my friend died in the car next to me. Went back into prison. Got another 12 years. So yeah, my life was just, but in prison, it was a living hell. It was literally, I wanted to die. I was suicidal, but probably wouldn't put myself through it. I didn't want to do it and put my family through it. I suppose in a lot of ways, I was probably scared to do it. You know, I don't know, but my life was just literally a living hell. And the worse I got, I would just become desensitized to things like violence. Didn't matter. I didn't care. And it's only when I reflect back on it now that how bad it kind of how I was. And I think about it, if you're going to have a fight and the worst thing that could happen to you is you're going to die, you don't care about dying, then, because I used to put myself into so many silly, real dangerous situations, and I don't know how I'm still here. Like now I cringe at the things that I used to do, and it's like, it's ridiculous, the things I used to do, but I just didn't care. You know, me killing myself's one thing, like what I couldn't do, but if someone else killed me, that was kind of okay in my warped way of thinking. You know, it's just, yeah. So every time I got a different label, I buy into it and think everything was gonna be all right, and it just never was. Then the thing is, I would have good stages, you know, in prison. Then I realised, hold on, my life's going good. Then I'll press the sod button. I would self-sabotage it always, because I was never a glass half full. Well, my glass was always empty, not half full. Like it was just literally always waiting for the worst to happen. And because all the books I read was all negative, I was in a prison environment. No one in prison is there for being nice, you know. Like it was literally surrounded by misery. You read about misery, you just become that. And yeah, one time I remember I was in a prison. I was doing really well. I had a good job, and I wake up in the morning and just feel happy. And one day I realised, like, why am I feeling like this? Like I've got a good job. I'm not getting into trouble, and I'm not smoking. I won the strongman in prison without training for it. I was always going to the gym, obviously, but I wasn't training for the competition, and all these things were happening. It's like, and I literally remember thinking, well, my life's going good. Within days, I was getting back into trouble. I had another phone. I was smoking weed, and then I got kicked out of the prison. Then I got to another prison then I got introduced to spice. Like that is the worst drug ever, and it like my mental health just went to a whole different place, you know. And it's just got kicked out of there. Then I got kicked out of the other prison. I got kicked out. I went to Onley. But I'd accepted my life was always gonna suck. It was always going to be crime in prison. It was always going to be, right, when I get out, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Because in the 12 or whatever years, well, I'd been out for 7 months. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to beat 4 months, and I'm going to earn as much money in that 4 months and have a good time. That was my thinking. You know, robbing drug dealers. You couldn't tell me that robbing a drug dealer was wrong. because in my way of thinking is, if you sell drugs, you've got to expect one or two things: to be ripped off and robbed, or go to prison. That's a part of parcel of being a drug dealer. Now I understand how bad it was, but that was my belief, and you just couldn't tell me it was wrong. That was my justification, and it was like, yeah, it's just so bad. But when I went to H&P Onley, I went on a visit and I got drugs on a visit. I was fighting with the prison staff, so not to give them my drugs because they seemed to get them passed. And so as part of their procedure, the drugs workers come to see me. Now, I'd seen enough drugs workers to know how to play the game. You sit there and say, I'm not doing this and not doing that. They're going to sit there with you for ages. So I know to just go in the room, say, yes, miss, no, miss. Put me down for everything. So I said to her, just put me down for every course there is, miss. If I get something, I'll get something. If I don't, I don't. I've got nothing left to lose. By that time, I'd done between 30 and 40 different courses. I've done the same course 3 or 4 times. They would change the name, so I'd have to do it again. And it was just, the first course was literally beyond recovery. I went there. Obviously, I was using drugs, and I don't know. It's, well, you know what the principles are like. My life was so dark, and sitting there, and it's like, what the F's going on here? Like, to me, they were hippies. I was sitting there waiting for them to drop their guard, to drop the smile. I'm thinking, because my life was so bad, it's like, you can't possibly be happy. You can't be happy for the sake of it. I just didn't understand it. And obviously with my insecure thinking, I just made up the stories, and it was just, yeah, I think this ain't for me. The second week I literally went back to do a drug deal, and I have no concept of time most of the time, dates or anything like that. And I can't tell you the date or anything like that, but I know where in the room where I was sitting literally here. Liliana and Anna at the front. But what they say at the beginning of the group is, come in, basically be open to learning something new. And if we say bring it back into the room, it's nothing personal. It's because you're being inappropriate or you're talking about something that's got nothing to do with, of course, they say all this to you. But Anna was doing the River of Thought. It wasn't called that then. Just explain. Well, she didn't do the River of Thought. This is another story that I've made up as well. It's only been speaking to Anna since then that I realised she wasn't doing the River of Thought. But she was explaining how a thought's just a thought, where we can just pull one thought down and you start stacking, didn't you? From one thought, you start stacking. But anyway, I was talking now. Even that, I can't tell you the bloke's name. I can't even tell you what colour he was. That's how bad. Like, I don't know. He might be white, black, and I have no idea. I just know I was sitting here. They were there. I turned to him, and I can't remember what saying, but it would have been something inappropriate, or it was rude, or it would have been something. But Lily said, "Bring it back into the room." I went there to Lily, and I was like, "What'd she say? She's made me look stupid. She's shut me up. Well, I'm going to smoke a joint. I'm going to get him kicked out of prison." And I just started stacking all these thoughts. And I literally looked from Lily to Anna, and it was like that, a light bulb. Well, and this is me trying to put into words what happened, because I'm trying to explain the unexplainable in the only way that, well, what I think happened. But yeah, it's just, I'm guessing that I realised that I see what she was saying, how we can either decide to let something go, or we make a mountain out of molehill, basically, don't we? It's just, but I really see how I created all that from Liliana saying they bring it back into the room. I was sitting there, I don't know if it was, but I felt like I was physically shaking, like she come and slapped me in the face, and I was just so angry. And it was just like this bag of, what comes to my mind? In the cartoons, you have someone that's leaving home, they have the stick in a little, like a red, anyway, for me, it's like this bag of, but mine weren't red, it wasn't pretty, it was a bag of crap I've been carrying around for 20 years, like all this crap, mental health, that just kind of fell away. Then I didn't know what happened, but I don't know if I laughed, cried. I don't really remember a lot of the rest of the session. But Anna read a bit of The Missing Link, and nothing really hit home. with it. But I don't know, I suppose in a way I don't think I wanted to leave the room at the end of the group. So I said to Anna, I said, "What's that book, miss?" And she said, "The Missing Link," and she gave me a copy. And this was on a Thursday morning. And I went back and I went and got high, like I did, because if I didn't understand something or didn't know what's going on, just get high. Like drugs have always been there. And I don't know, it wasn't until the Saturday morning I woke up and we was on bang up morning, so we weren't getting let out till like 12 o'clock. So I woke up early. I used to get up in the prison earlier in the morning so I could get high for longer on my own without anyone bothering me. But it was literally, I picked up the first book to hold a joint, and it was A Missing Link, and it was, like I said to you, it was such a strange experience for me. I opened it and I read the induction. I never normally read the induction or anything like that, but I read it and it was like, I was reading, but I said to him, like, my eyes just wouldn't go past a paragraph or even the sentence and like the line until I knew what was going on. I didn't understand what was going on, but obviously words are a metaphor with this understanding, and you're trying to explain the unexplainable. But it's like I understood what the real meaning behind the words were, but I didn't understand the meaning. Like I got it, and I was reading, and I was having answers to all these questions I didn't know I was searching, looking for. I just didn't understand. I had all these answers, but I didn't know what the questions were, if that makes sense, But one of the bits that really stood out for me is we're all the same. And this is my interpretation of the words. That's what I said to you before, isn't it? Like I look through it and I can't even find that bit that had such a big impact on me. I can't find it now. But so basically it says that we're all the same. We all think the same, but it's how we decide to deal with it, like to deal with life. But for me, it was like, so I'm not broke. I don't need fixing. Because for me, I thought I was broke. It was just me that had all this crazy thinking that you couldn't understand because you'd not lived my life. Like it was all without this understanding. That's how a lot of people think. We think we're the only people suffering, that no one else could possibly understand. But yeah, it was such a big thing to know that I wasn't broken. I don't need fixing. And I remember getting opened and it just started preaching. I just didn't know what had happened. And that's why I said it in the letter. The only way I can explain it is when someone finds God, they want to get everyone to go to church. And that was what I done. And that's why The Missing Link was my Bible. It's the easiest way I could explain it. But I would just preach to people. I've got so many people to buy The Missing Link, and they're like, "Well, what's this crap you got me to buy?" And I all my family and friends, and it's just like, yeah. And it's just, I started to realise that my life just changed. And within a week, I think, of reading that, things I'd always fighting all the time, or that, but I kind of just got enjoyment out of it. And one day it was about to kick off in the fight, and in prison, I'm really good at picking up on body language, but I could see something going on, and it's people that I was arguing with, so I knew that I'd be fighting in a minute. But rather than going and put my trainers on and getting ready to fight, I went and shut my cell door. I think like, well, I don't have to. I've been fighting my whole life, but I was fighting a battle that I couldn't. Well, I was fighting myself. You can't hurt me the way I'd hurt myself, But to know that I don't have to fight, and it was just, yeah, it's just such a strange thing. Then I was behind my cell door for a few weeks, and it's going back. Lily come and see me, and Jacqueline, and went back to finish the group. And I can't really say I got a lot more out of the group. I love being in that space, but yeah, it took me quite a while to actually start to understand, not even understand it, because the things were just I just didn't, I don't know, I was trying to explain the unexplainable, wasn't it? But when someone else is trying to explain it, and then I started going back and doing more groups and getting more involved, and I was just preaching to anyone and everyone. And the thing is, all these things started happening for me without realizing that I was starting getting these good jobs. And I went from literally, at one point, I had to have 3 prison officers take my cell door because I just attacked them when I was real bad on the drugs, and I was taking LSD when I was in the segregation unit, and it sounds crazy now, but yeah, just attack prison officers. Then I'm getting red band jobs. At one point, I was one of the most trusted prisoners in the prison. I was giving out the other 100 prisoners' canteen. It's like giving an armed robber the keys to the safe, you know. I'm walking around giving people their stuff, and all this good stuff was happening. But I wasn't trying. That's the thing. I didn't look for any of it, you know, and it's just now I can really see, is I said before, where my life was always crime, and my mentality was that every book I've read would be crime. And I suppose it's you're putting that out there, aren't you? You're attracting that negativity. If you're negative, everything you see is, if you're in a low mood, all you see is low mood thinking. All you see is I see the worst in everything and everyone. And you know, I said before, I could have won the lottery, £1 million. Like, well, it was 2 million last week. You know, that would have been my way of thinking. Like, I wouldn't have been happy with £1 million. Like, oh, that won't work. When it was like, you know, I just literally see the worst in everything. And I suppose you wouldn't let that. And it wasn't intentionally. I didn't think, right, I'm not thinking negative today. It's just all this kind of stuff just fell away. And I started reading more books. We had a conversation about the Sydney Banks books, didn't we? And like reading Dear Eliza, that was as much as The Missing Link had a big impact on me. It's like reading Dear Eliza. I was reading it and I was crying, and it was just so. It was a strange experience because I didn't want to read no more, but I wanted to read more. You know, it's just, I don't want to spoil it if people have not read Dear Eliza, but it's a good book. I recommend it. But yeah, it's like it's one of them things, and it's just like we had this conversation before, and it's just to cry from a book, and it not to be able to cry, and to be able to cry happy tears. Who would have thought that? Well, I wouldn't have thought it. To know that you can cry, and furthermore, to cry and not care that anyone's watching, or you know, I cry anywhere and everywhere. You know, it's just a bit of a cry baby, I suppose. No, but to know it's okay and just not to care, you know, and all this other stuff. Just got to open prison, and don't get me wrong, it's not all been plain sailing. I've had my ups and downs like other people, but the only difference is I started to learn from my mistakes rather than not repeating them. Like, you know, and every time I come back stronger. I had a good job, then I got caught with a phone. Then when I lost everything, rather than thinking, well, I've got nothing now, turn back to drugs and everything, I didn't. I got it all back. But I didn't just got it back, I got it back plus a better job, you know, with my band, and got to open prison. And yeah, that was a totally different experience, and I didn't do too well. I ended up getting kicked out of the open prison. But even that was such a learning curve, you know, and it's just, in being released and just to start living life, you know, to work 2 or 3 jobs at one point, and just to help people. Obviously, I'd help people in prison doing groups and that, but just start to live and just start to notice the beauty of life, and to really see how we limit ourselves. You know, one of the books says it, we are literally limitless as people. The only limits we have is what we put on ourselves. It's literally, yeah, and it's just even at work. I labouring my uncle, but then I got a traffic marshal, so I started moving up and to go back and open the conference where I first met you last year. Like I was saying to you, that was just such an out of the world experience, you know, to have 1,000 people standing there, and it's like, yeah, it's a bit shy. Anyway, to look, but that's something else. Even with this understanding, I really struggled to look people in the eyes. And I was always still, even with this understanding, always looking around, always, because part of my way I'd upset so many people, you'd always have to be careful looking around where are people, and or even for the next victim, you know, like looking for, but also searching. So I was still doing that up and even at the conference, just always looking around, felt really quite uncomfortable sometimes, looking like, how long do you look into someone's eyes for? When do I look away? And then I started working for, doing groups, working for homeless charity and things like that. And it's just opportunities that come. Oh, so you're saying at the conference and the people coming up to me afterwards and asking for a picture taken with me. And it's like, what's the matter with you? It's like, I'm looking up and seeing Joe Bailey and Dick in there. And it's like, are you crazy? Like, you've got all these people there and you're asking for a picture with me. It's like, this don't make sense. Oh, way of thinking. And yeah, and I met Lisa on one of the groups I was doing, and we got together a few months later. And Lisa's got a real thing about looking into eyes, like looking into people's eyes. And she used to say like, literally, she'd have to hold my face to look into my eyes. But me, I was always told that I had evil eyes, and they say that eyes are the windows of the souls, don't they? I don't know if you've heard that saying. And I've always been told that I've got evil eyes and that sort of stuff. And I was kind of worried that she'd catch me out. Not catch me out, but like, I don't know. I was just so nervous of it. And that's what I say when she's my soulmate. I see that. Like, I see that. And being with her, she's just brought so much peace. And I've said this, I don't know how many times, but we just understand I found peace of mind. But being with Lisa, I found peace of soul. It's like all the looking around, I don't look around and I can just sit. But just being with her and just love, you know, this understanding is all about love, and we all know love intellectually, but to feel love, to feel loved, but to actually, I don't know, it's just weird. It's something else I said so many times, and I get very emotional about it. Like Lisa, I look at her and I think, I can't love this lady anymore. And I can just look into her eyes, and it's literally like I fall in love with her all over again, but it's more intense, and it just gets stronger. And, you know, it's just joy of being with her. I don't know, and don't get me wrong, it's not always easy, you know, but, well, it is easy now, but at first we had our ups and downs like everyone does, even with this understanding, because we're human beings, don't we? But it's the growth. And I said to you before, all this other stuff is just fell away because I don't feel the need to help people in the sense that I don't feel that I have to be in groups, or I don't have to do this, and I don't have to. I feel a bit disconnected, but in a good way, because I'm connected to. Oh, so I am connected to Lisa, and that it's the thing. It's to say love is. It doesn't do it justice, if that kind of makes sense. It's just beyond words. It's beyond this world, and it's just I've really seen the other side of this understanding, like the spiritual side of it and the peace side of it, and to just that to be able to be yourself. Because even with this understanding, I suppose I still had a lot of blind spots, a lot of insecurities, you know, and being with Lisa has allowed me to let them go. Even with clothes, that become a real big thing for me because I was working, I was earning good money, and all my clothes were big designer. But funny enough, when I went to the conference, my clothes was Armani, but it got extreme, like socks, boxers, belt, wallet, key ring, phone cover, like everything. If I was Walmart, everything would be Armani. But when I went to the conference, I made sure that I didn't wear Armani. But I've had all these insights about labels and clothes, and I used to talk about them, but I still wore them. Like this here is a George from Asda. Like literally, I've got two of these. I've got black jeans. Like all these big insights, all these things is I'm living the principles at a level that I just didn't. No, I didn't. I just didn't know that was there. The ease to it. You know, I have even doing groups. You know, and Lily was doing a group before this happened in Essex, and just the stuff that's happened is just crazy. Like it's just goes to show, doesn't it, when we stop limiting ourselves that anything can happen. And I don't know, even when things are never bad, not, you know, you sometimes you ever think you're having a bad day and it's like, oh, I'm a bit upset because it's raining outside, for example, where before I'll be buried in the snow. You know, it's like, it's sometimes like, well, this ain't too bad. If this is the worst is going to happen to me today, it's a good day, innit, compared to, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, just even going to Josh's grave, my son's grave, I feel before I go down, always with this understanding, it would be for the wrong reason. I'd be drunk or high, and it was just played the victim. Like, why did he have to die on my chest, and why was with me, and all this sort of stuff. And now I go there, and I just feel such peace, you know. And that saying the story, but to be able to say that I'm glad that he died on my chest, you know. That I'm glad that I was the person that I was because I stole the camera the day before from the petrol station, and I got pictures of him like 10 minutes before he died. I laid down with him where I'm holding him, he's literally smiling at me. You know, all these pictures that I couldn't look at for 12 years, 13 years, whatever it was, and to have that change of thought without even realizing it, you know, to go from why did he have to die on my chest to I'm glad he died on my chest. And when I first had that insight and started talking about that, then I'll get into arguments with people, and people say to me, how can you say you're glad your son died on your chest? Like, quite easy, because I'm glad that he wasn't upstairs in a room on his own. I'm glad that he was with me, you know, this sort of stuff. And then I feel the need to defend why I'm saying that. And it's like, now I don't care. No, but yeah, just to go to the cemetery and to be able to sit there and just feel connected in that sense, and just feel so much peace, and to sit there, and it's quite strange because it's sitting in a cemetery with quite traffic, and whereas before it always, to me, cemeteries are a grim, not grim in the sense, but it's quite a dark place with a sense of like sadness. But no, it's just I don't know, just go there, or just go and sit on the beach and just look at the sea. And I don't know, it's just how many other words is there to say in my life? Amazing. I'm living life that is beyond my wildest dreams. It's just, and it's not because I've got money, or it's not because I've got this, it's because I don't need none of the material things. No. as long as there's food, nothing else matters. To not be able to look at your phone for days is, whereas before, even with this understanding, I'd be on the phone all the time, and now it's like, why do I want to be on the phone when the only person that I want to speak to is sitting next to me? I don't need that, It's like,
Yeah.
I know. That's good.
That's very
It's amazing.
You are honestly the closest I've seen to sitting down talking. Somebody who leaves having this understanding, and as you also said before, like it's, in a way sort of seems like difficult to talk about how it was before, because now life is so different. Like you're like a new man, and the good thing is that you can see all that with this innocence of how, when we are in it, it doesn't matter where we're in it. It could be crime, it could be a feeling of being a victim, it could be thinking that the world's against you, it can be whatever, thinking nobody loves you. When you're in it, it's like a fish inside water, isn't it? For sure, it wasn't a fish that discovered water, as they usually say around this understanding. Like, when you're in it, you don't know anything different. So it's like, if I have gone to prison for getting biscuits with my tea, that was your normal. And now it's like if you have to tell a story of somebody you knew ages ago, and now it seems so familiar.
I literally, even I said to you before, when my letter got read out at the conference, that's the first time I've heard it, but it wasn't my story. I sat there and it was like I really heard it, like other people would hear it, and all I could hear was the hurt and the pain, because I know, but like sitting there and I just see the innocence in all my bad behaviour, and it's not to justify it, because the things I've done was terrible, really extreme, but it's just I could really see the innocence, and I know where that was coming from. Yeah, pretty cool up there. That's the thinking, but that's the thing. But it's like you just said, as it's not the content. Now, that's a strange thing. That's the beauty of this understanding is we're saying, you never know when you're going to hear something. Even with this understanding, imprisonment, sorry, I was doing a course that wasn't the principles, and they were saying all this outside in, and this, so I was sitting there getting frustrated, because to me, it's the principles, nothing else matters, but I still had to do this other course. And this woman come in, and she was going on about a rabbit. She got to take her rabbit to one of the facilitators, got to take her rabbits to the vets, and she was all upset and emotional. And I had all this other, like, real big family problems going on at home. And they're like, what is the matter with you? It's a rabbit. Like, I was getting frustrated, and that then it was literally a couple of weeks, and maybe a month later, me and Alfie Chambers was out the back on exercise. So we were talking to someone about the principles like I used to do, and I can't even remember what I was saying. What I was saying about it doesn't matter about I said something anyway about my story, but then I looked up and I see the hut where this was. But whatever I said, it really just clicked into place. Like, it doesn't matter the content. If you're in your thinking, you're in your thinking. How she was about her rabbit was exactly how I was about my baby. Now that is two extremes, but it doesn't matter the story. It doesn't matter the content. If you're feeling it, you're feeling it. But I really see that in that moment. And that's the beauteous understanding, isn't it? That you never know when you're going to see something, or you can have an insight, but then you think you've seen something, like an insight, then and maybe a weekday, what year, whatever, but then you have another insight from it, another, and it just blows that. You really see how this understanding is limitless. Like literally, a great man, Sydney Banks, is so I don't know if you, but what he see is obviously so much more than any of us are ever likely to see. But if he would have, could you imagine what if he's seen, if he's around for another 10, 20 years, this understanding is just limitless. And that is just, it's just so amazing, isn't it? And what a man he was, and like he says, when you're picking a teacher, pick one you want to become like. And for me, I've been around a few different facilitators, and that's the beauty of being around different facilitators. You get to pick like little picks. Like this person does it like this. Oh, I do this or this and that, and that's how I kind of was trying to find my way. And I just, even that is like, well, I don't want to be like pick that from that person or that from that person. I want to be me. If in doubt, get sit out. I want to go to the source. I don't want to pick this, and it's not being disrespectful, but it's something that I really see that if I'm taking if someone's had something, an insight in something you'd said, then I'm having insight into that, and it's getting, not in a bad way, but diluted to just go straight to the horse's mouth, kind of, and it's just,
yeah,
and you can listen to something 100 times and not really hear something, but you can listen to it once more because it come on by mistake, and it's like you totally hear something, and he actually says that, doesn't he? Like in these talks, and yeah, it's just so surprising how you just never know when you're going to hear something or see something, but even when things click into place, like I had like judgment, I had quite not judgment, but I still had a lot of, not a lot, but insecure thinking without realizing I had kind of insecure thinking, because when I stopped working, when I work, I used to eat quite a lot, like to eat. When I just stopped working, so all my jeans were a bit bigger. And one day I was watching X Factor, and Simon Cowell lost a lot of weight, isn't he? So his jeans were really baggy. And I was like, well, he's got enough money to go and buy a pair of jeans that fit him. So I was being quite judgmental about Simon Cowell and his jeans. He's worth millions and millions. But yeah, but I realised, hold on, I'm judging him how I'm kind of judging myself. Then it, like all these other things, that conversations I've had, and it's like, oh, this person is judging that person, but that's saying, I don't get into it. Yeah, like all these things just click into place, and there's no better teacher than yourself, basically, is there? And when you're given advice, really the advice is for yourself. That's what someone really see. But yeah, it's just this understanding is just amazing, isn't it? It is literally. It's just. I don't even know, but it's just when you see things like insecurity, but even seeing that was such a big thing for me, and realizing insecurity and ego, they are one and the same. But to really see that, like I said, I used to be such an insecure person, but I didn't know I was insecure, because I was insecure about things like being at school, not being able to tell the teacher I didn't understand it. My insecurity, I can't tell her or him this. So what I'm going to do, my ego kicking, I'm going to muck around and just get kicked out of class. yeah, it's like all this sort of thing, like all these behaviours and all my past, just things click and say, and click in like, oh, so that's why I'd done that, because I was insecure. You know, it's just how things link. And that's another thing, being with Lisa, these insights is kind of seeing how all these insights just link into each other, and just, I don't know, it's quite strange. And something else I said, when you're doing a group, you know, there's nothing better when you said, not even something that you said, but you're in a room and you see someone's face light up, you see their eyes, that twinkle in their eyes. Now, there's nothing better than that. Now, to see that in someone that you love and care about, that is just so much kind of more. It's just, it's even that. It's, how do you explain that to someone, even facilitators? You're like, they just, how amazing it is to be in group. But I just said it, but it's just, it's not, I don't know, for me, I just love it. And to just watch someone grow and just see the change in people, but also see the change in yourself. And to sometimes, well, you don't even see the change in yourself, do you? Some things are so big that drop away. Like, oh, I'm not committing crime every day. That's a big thing. But with the clothes, you know, it's, my socks don't have to be much in my boxer shorts, you know. And I say happy coincidence. Like every now and then, I'll get dressed and could be walking down. I could have the clothes on all day. It'd be like getting undressed of an evening, and oh, my top's matching my bottoms today. I was like, oh, that's an happy coincidence. You know, because there's no real fault in what I'm wearing. You know, but I get enjoyment out of little things like that. You know, it's just clothes that used to hold so much meaning to me. I find them out painting or in the garden in them. It's just, yeah, it's just, I don't know. The problem with me is I was worried about what I was going to have and think the same to say, but like I was saying, like Pringles, once I pop, I can't stop. I literally just 2 minutes before, I didn't know where I was going to sit to talk. I said here, I think, what am I going to say? And
well, there you go. Fresh for today. And
I love what you say there, because when I first, or before I came across this understanding, for me, it was just like, I wanted the next best thing. I wanted, when I was at this place, I would be waiting for the next thing. And now, even just sitting on the sofa watching TV together is just the best thing ever. It's the littlest things that happens that I'm just like, I love that. Having coffee in the morning, it can be the best part of the day. You know, this understanding, as you said, is literally just mind-blowing.
it really is. It's just, that's the thing. I really feel sorry for Sydney Banks. Could you imagine what he was like? It was like for him in the 70s when he was the first person. You know, it's at least now the community is growing and it's getting bigger, isn't it, all the time? But could you imagine what it was like for him, and probably not understanding it? It's like, you just can't help but take your hat off to the man, can you? And to stick with it, and considering he was insecure, that was his kind of big thing, wasn't it? And to stick with it, to have that, like, how can, I don't know, just be so grateful for someone and feel that you know someone without knowing them. It's just, I don't know, it's just such a beautiful thing, isn't it? And at the conference, having to speak to his wife, sat next to his wife at the conference last year, and
well, there's lots of love coming in for you. So should we open up so you can hear what people have to say? So you're gonna unmute, and then people can either put their hand up or
you
mute
can
themselves. Michelle is saying on the chat, wow, I don't know what to say other than thank you for sharing. What a wonderful transformation, and what a beautiful soul you are, Dave. Thank you. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Love that. If in doubt, get sit out. And so please, if you want to unmute yourselves and either ask a question or reflect about something, you can do that now. Well, we'll see if somebody has something to say. Trying to look at the group. Also, big love to Liliana, who actually left us. This was like, you know, the what do you call it? The cliffhanger at the end of a series, where like of an episode, and you're like, chun chun chun. So we had Liliana, and then we said, oh, and we have David Saunders next week, and it was like chun chun chun. So because obviously Liliana Bellini was who was sitting next to you when you were telling about your story, and she says, haven't heard you sharing in a while, David. Feeling much joy for you, hearing how much more peace and love you are experiencing now. So that's Liliana.
Thank you.
So let's see. So Michelle, you can unmute yourself up, or
I don't actually know if I can talk. I'm sat here with tears streaming down my face. So, David, don't worry, like, because you've just met the second biggest crybaby in the world. And Caroline is like my twin, so that's okay. I don't really know where to start, and I'm not going to waffle on. I totally agree with you about this understanding, and I just want to share something. So Caroline is my coach for a start, and she's absolutely amazing, and her and Wayne have like been on this 3P Express journey with me since day one, when I had my very first insight on a call that they were hosting, series 8 of How to Connect with Humans, exactly 11 weeks ago today. I feel like I've come such a long way in such a short space of time. But something I wanted to share with you now, you were talking about Sid's books. So I had quite a day yesterday, and I won't go into it, but after I had the day that I had, which Carolina was a big part of, bless her heart, I decided I was going to start reading The Enlightened Gardener. It's one of the books that I haven't read before, and I literally could not put it down, and I didn't go to bed until I finished it. And during reading that book, and I honestly cannot tell you what it was, and if I went to go and find it even now, I don't think I'd find it. Same as you said about like the missing link and Dear Liza and things like that. But I just had the most amazing sense of gratitude and love, and I feel like it was not the first time. I've had glimpses before, but it was the first time that I could look around and go, Oh my God, I am so fortunate. And I hadn't seen that fully until last night. And that feeling, that being in that space has just continued. I felt in that space all day today. I feel in that space now, as you can tell. And yeah, just I guess what I'm trying to say is I know how you feel. And coming across this understanding, which was not a coincidence for me or for anybody on this call, is the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And one other thing that I want to share is that when I was talking to Carolina yesterday, I left the call and I sat here and cried because I don't know that I've ever had anybody love me so unconditionally in the way that she does, the way that Aaron Wayne do. And yeah, I'm going to need to stop now because I'm literally blubbing my eyes out. Thank you, David, for sharing your story, and thank you for just being amazing and just showing people what a difference this can make. Thank you.
Oh, Michelle, we love you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was muted. I've got some good news for her. The Lighting Gardener Revisited. See, she's got another book to read. As much as she loves that. Well,
Well, guess what? I read that today.
Well, there's more. Don't worry.
I know.
Yeah, it just gets better. But the thing is, and like I said, the beauty of it, you can read that book, and every time you read it, you won't have the same experience. You might have a, but it doesn't matter. You always see more. And just that's the thing. Just to know you're all right, and life's good. Of all the stuff that's happened to you, it's the same as me. I couldn't change a day of all the bad stuff that's happened in my past because it wouldn't make me the person I am today. And it's the same for you. Just be, present, isn't it? All that stuff, all your past has brought you. If you didn't have that negative, or I don't know, it doesn't matter. You've had a life, but you have to, if you never experienced all that bad stuff, you wouldn't be sitting there feeling you're crying, but it's happy tears, it's joyful tears. Some people have never experienced that. I was lucky enough to experience at the age of 35. I'm 40 next month. So it's just, life's good, isn't it? And you can have ups and downs, yeah, but just don't get caught up on the content. If you're feeling good, you're feeling good, and that's something I had to learn. Not I learned that I would always still to work out, why am I feeling good, and looking for the feelings. It's not if I'm feeling bad, not feeling bad, but it's just knowing if you're in a low mood, all you're going to see is low mood thinking. Don't try and think why am I in a low mood? Because it's going to keep yourself in that mood. All right, it's acceptance. I'm in a low mood. Your mood will just lift. It's the same as you're in a good mood. When do you ever, when you're in a happy place, you're in a good place. It's just, life's just good, isn't it? It's just, my lows are, you can't even class them as lows, It's just, it's just, but hey, it's how can you explain how she's feeling? That's what that joy that she's feeling, that's how, it's just mind blowing, isn't it? You know, and obviously, well done, but you two have how to show that. And that's what I said to you. When you get to see that, someone's face light up, and don't get me wrong, a bit ego, but when it's something from you said, it is even better. But that's something that I really see when I was in prison, how drugs was my thing, like MDMA was my drug of choice, because of them, that love feeling I thought come from drugs, searching externally. Even when I had this understanding, there was drugs in prison, MDMA, and I was offered it a couple of times, and you know, and I was saying no, I've got this understanding, I can't do drugs. Then the old thinking kicked in. It was like, right, if someone offers me it on a Friday, I'm going to take it Friday, because I like the music on a Friday. Because all the music I used to listen to was 90s house music from that era. Someone offered me on that Friday, so I cooked dinner. Then I was dancing around my cell the Friday night, off my nut on MDMA. But then I really see in that moment that, you know, I was up here, as high as I was on MDMA, it was not real. You know, the drug was, it was, obviously I was off my nut, but it wasn't real love, you know, like I really see how it was fake, because it was chemically enhanced. So my buzz went from literally, I was dancing on my cell, and when I really see that, you know, when you see that, see someone's face light up in prison, like in group, like that's real joy. Them emotions that you're feeling, that love, that joy is real. That's 100% inside. So when you're up, say you're up here, but when I was on the MDMA, I was up here. You know, I was dancing with myself, but I really feel like, as good as I felt, I really see that it was chemicals, it was fake. And it was like my buzz went from there down to there. Obviously, I still had the chemicals in my system, so I could still feel the effects of the MDMA, but the buzz side of it just went, because I really see how it's external. Then the next 2 days, I was worried about getting a drugs test. I couldn't sleep. Like, then I felt the effects of coming down, and I just felt crap for 2 days. You know, and it's just, I really just see that was a big thing. And that's not to say that I've not used drugs since, because I have. You know, I'm not here to lie to you. I'm human. You know, I've slipped back in and out of drinking. You know, drinking too much, and even in lockdown, it's one of them things that I realised it was just so easy to do when I was working in the pub. It's just so easy how you just get into that routine without realising you're in that routine. And for me, I'm a bit of a binge drinker, so I drink a bottle of JD. When it gets to the stage where you're drinking a bottle of JD a night 3 times a week, it's, well, for me, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't like how it makes me feel the next day. I don't like the person I become when I've had a drink. So I think this is the 4th week I've not drunk again. So, you know, well, I think this weekend. So it's just one of the things, isn't it, that sometimes you have to go through things to learn, then make a mistake, and to learn again, and you just get stronger, don't you? And you just see more, and I don't know.
Yeah, you do. And that's the other thing that I've really noticed, is that, you know, when I had that first insight, I honestly, I had no clue what the bloke was saying. I had no clue what he was saying. I didn't really even understand what the 3 Ps were. I just thought, oh, that looks interesting, I'll go on that call. And then lo and behold, I found the words, I feel like I've come home, tumbling out my mouth. I've got to just tell you something else as well now. This is in the impersonal. I feel like I've met my bloody match when it comes to talking.
I love to talk.
Please know that is meant in the most loving way
Yeah,
possible.
it's all right. Like I said, I'm used to it. I love to talk, like Pringles.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But that's the thing, it's just a surprise, even down to how every other word would be a swear word before. You know, you start talk words that you don't really, not that you don't understand. It's like, well, did I just say that? You just found so much of my life just changes, isn't it? Like, down to what you eat. I still eat chips. I love chips, but some things I fell away. I'm not so much. Oh, I do like a breakfast. No, but I suppose that's another thing. It's so easy, isn't it, to, without this understanding, for people to look at externally, especially in the society, because that's what we're brought up to believe in the society, isn't it? Where you need the perfect house or job or car, but you just really get to see, don't you, how someone can get the car, then they want a set of wheels for it, or a new stereo, or they want to convert. You know, every year's a new model, and you're looking at him. But it's like a house, isn't it? Someone gets a perfect house and they want a swimming pool, and it's just all external. And this is something that I used to talk about, but now that I'm living it, like with clothes, I used to say about, oh, you don't need designer clothes, and I had a justification, but I'm earning this money. I'm not out robbing people so I can go and buy a new shirt. You know, it's just, to just be living. This is really just living. That's something, actually, I said this to Lily last week, and I spoke to her. Me and, I think it was Alfie Chambers, having a conversation with Lily and Jacqueline, and I can't remember if it was me or Alfie, but one of us said to them, so when you're out, do you have insight and do you talk about the principles all the time? And I can't even remember which one of them said it. One of them said, no, we just live the principles. And to me, it's like, I just didn't kind of understand what they meant by living the principles without it. And I suppose, to sum up, that's what I'm doing in the best way that I can. Am I perfect? No. Do I pretend to be perfect? No. Well, that's the thing. I don't even try to be good. I don't try not to be a bad person, which is kind of a relief as well, isn't it? Because for me personally, that used to be half my kind of problems, that trying not to get into trying not to use drugs, or trying not to commit crime. And in anything in life, it's a trying that's actually hard. Doing something that's not hard, it's always the thinking about doing it, isn't it? To make a cup of tea is easy. Thinking, right, I've got to go and get a cup, I've got to get a tea bag, I've got to get sugar, I've got to get the milk, I've got to put the kettle on, I've got to fill the kettle up. Making a cup of tea is not hard, is it? It's the thinking about it.
I love that.
I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Exhausting thought of the cup of tea. Mark is saying, what a courageous story. Was heartbreak to hear at times, but what a turnaround. I love how just a few insights can blow everything out of the water in a short amount of time. I have to just listen in for the rest of the conversation, unfortunately, as I need to complete work for a deadline. Thanks, David. You're a true inspiration. P.S. Nothing wrong with George clothing. He's actually complimenting your George Astor clothing.
But that's actually the thing. There's no difference between wearing them and a £260 pair of True Religion jeans. They're probably more than comfortable.
And then Liliana was sending love to Michelle. Oh, Liliana, we love you so much. And Derek, also, good to hear you share again, Big Dave. You're the reason I'm in this space. Thank you. Life-changing. And we're going to have Derek on Series 3.
Series 3, yeah. Definitely.
Then Susie Spence said, I just love hearing you speak, Dave. So open, so honest and authentic and real. So inspiring and beautiful and humbling. And a reminder just to turn up and see what comes. So moving. I have to go early tonight, unfortunately, but really look forward to hearing you again. Love to you also. You're going to have to come back. You're going to have to come back, Dave. So they want to hear you again. So beautiful, David. Liliana says, you now live the principles. And then Michelle sends love to all of us. Michelle, we love you so, so much. We have we have some people still in the call. I don't know if you want to ask any questions or share anything. And I really want to say a huge thank you to Jacqueline Hollows and Liliana Bellini, who is here today, Derek, the people from Beyond Recovery, because to be honest, when Jacqueline had the idea of going into the prisons and talk, oh, Derek, man, we can see you. Do you want to mute yourself?
Hi, hi everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, just hearing you share again, Dave, man, just brings me back to the room on J Wing when we're sitting there and I'm taking in your wisdom as a beginner. And the bit that you said when you was talking, well, I come in late, but the bit I heard you say when you got the understanding, you just wanted to share and just wanted to tell everybody. And well, I'm one of them people that you just wanted to tell. And at first I thought you were some big crazy guy that was just preaching and talking a whole heap of peaceful woo-woo rubbish. But when I took it on board, what you were saying, mate, you've opened a part of my life and opened the door for me that can't be closed, and I'm eternally grateful. And just to sit here and hear your story blows me away every time, mate. So yeah, just glad for that, man. Just glad for that. When you said it, when you were saying that, I was thinking like, oh right, he was running around telling everybody. But if you never have that feeling, Dave, or if you never look at me and think, yeah, he's a candidate, then I wouldn't be here now. I'll be somewhere far removed from here, a lot less happy, and not really know what's going on in the background in my life. But now I know what's going on, and I've got a little bit of control by seeing that I have no control. But yeah, it's all because of you, David. And you just saying that just reminded me of that. So I have to be. I owe you so much, Big Dave. And yeah, it's just good to see you and hear you share, mate. And yeah, it was nice session. Loved it.
Thank you. You've come such a long way. That's the thing is, and I didn't do anything. You see it for yourself. That's the thing. And it's not that you're a candidate, Derek. It's everyone. That's the thing with this understanding. I just see that because obviously we all think we're the only ones that all messed up. That my thing is, if it can work for me, it can work for you, and it can work for you. So to me, I didn't discriminate, Derek. As you know. But that's the thing, isn't it? This understanding doesn't see nothing. It is the truth, and you can't argue with the truth.
Truth.
It is universal. That's the thing. It didn't matter. I was talking to prison officers, the inmates. I really see how even that's a big thing, isn't it? To see that a prison officer is a human being. So like, whereas before, my old way of thinking is they're the enemy. They're there to do all these bad things, and it's just actually see that, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, but at first I thought that's what I was thinking. Oh, this guy, the same thing you said. We all go through the same thing. So when you're saying what you've gone through and how Beyond Recovery helped you, sort of thing, I'm thinking, right, what does he know about me? What has he seen through this facade that I've put on? He knows I'm weak inside, and he knows this, but we're all like that. So you're just telling me what you know about yourself and what I must know about me. But you opened up that door for me to see it and know that, yeah, like you said, we're all the same. And yeah, if you feel it, then I must feel it. And just to open my eyes to it was beautiful. Was beautiful. And yeah, it was good to see you again tonight, mate, and good to hear you again.
I'll catch up soon.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see Mark is back into the call. Mark, were you? I read what you wrote, and I don't know if you're able to, if you wanted to talk to us, because I know you were about to mute yourself, and then sort of like Michelle was at the same time. So feel free, Mark, if you can.
Or if you want to.
Or if you want to, absolutely. So I don't know if
you're not busy.
I know he's working. We know he's working. So thank you for your comment. That was really, really lovely. Oh, I'm aching to hear something from Liliana. Would you?
Well, I don't know. This always succeeds actually in making me go quiet, and that's a good sign. And that doesn't happen often. So I don't know, but I can't actually describe the level of joy that I'm feeling right now, and how beautiful that Derek came in as well. Because that kind of gives you a kind of a full circle feeling, like, and how it's a circle that never actually is infinite, because the ripple is just goes on and on and on and on, and and then you see loving relationships and developing, and the appreciation of true, pure love for someone else as well. And that is something that I'm just catching up now, because we had a chat, David and I, last week about you talking about that, how you're experiencing your relationship. It just takes it to a whole different level, and just so grateful and so fortunate to be in this space and to see you guys and to hear all of this. Is like, wow. And it's a gift that keeps on giving, really. So thank you to all of you. Thank you for the wonderful speaker, today's speaker. It's so good. It's so good. I can't think of anything more beautiful than, hearing such simplicity and purity and subject depth in the love, Gorgeous. Thank you. What can I say? I've better shut up.
Oh. And I think this is the beautiful thing of this. It's just as David, you were saying, how how grateful you are to Sydney to actually have the experience, but then to pass it on, to have the courage of just going. And even if they were saying like, oh my God, you have lost your marbles, and his wife and his co-workers couldn't understand what he was saying, and people thought he had a breakdown, like, he was like, but then he passed it on, and very kindly, people that were willing to hear then also heard and passed it on, because that's how it got to us. We didn't meet Sydney Banks because he died before we got to know this understanding. And then the gift that keeps giving is that we find a space where we keep generating relationships and talking about this, even if the other person rolls their eyes, or or they go like, oh man, you're mad.
Are you talking about me again?
No, not at all. But that's the thing, is that when you thought, oh, she's maybe in this whatever woo-woo hippie, as David came into that room that Liliana was saying last week, it really took courage for me to step in the room, and luckily she did. But when I came back and I was like, oh my God, you have to hear about this, and was so passionate, and you were like, oh, okay, here she comes again. But when David got on stage and talked, then there was something that I think for you was impossible to say, oh, this is I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of the times that it literally hit me and blew me away. I was left speechless on that day. I remember looking at you, turning to you, looking at you and going, I really want to go and see, I really want to go and see him, really want to go and see him. And then, I don't know, and then we realised we were at the same hotel, and it just all kind of came together. And when you were saying earlier about that feeling of being safe in that hotel, when the fire alarm was going off at 4 a.m. in the morning, and we were like, what's going on? And having Dave there was literally, I felt safe, I felt secure. And it was just the love that I just felt coming off of that stage was incredible.
And
I felt a lot of nerves. Must have been just me then. That's all right. I'm a better actor than I thought.
the fire alarm story, and I know we have had people here for a long time, so if you're not falling asleep, please stay with us. And we were in the same hotel, so this is the night before the conference. And 4 a.m, this alarm goes, and we're just like, oh, okay, we need to evacuate. And you know, for us, because when in that situation, you're like with your wheelchair, but we also need to think of taking the sticks, because for some
in case
things
we can't get up the stairs or anything like that.
For some things you need the sticks, and you know, it's not like we just can't just get up and go. So we were one of the last ones to leave, in a way, and we didn't know what's going on.
No.
Everything was inside. We didn't know if we were going to lose everything we had in the hotel, sort of thing, and it was freezing. So they give us this this
like tinfoil
blankets. And we're like, what's going on? And then we saw Dave there standing in the darkness, and we didn't know Dave was Dave. We didn't know him. But I look at Wayne and I said, oh, it's fine, because they sent security, so we're fine. And we could feel this presence of, like, you know, somebody sort of taking care of us, like it was all going to be fine. From that moment on, I was like, it's all good. We'll go on the tinfoil blanket tomorrow to the conference. It's going to be okay. And then the next day, when David goes on stage, then we go like, oh!
We both looked at each other and was like, what?
So, and it was sweet, because David, you were saying, like, you felt like you're usually like looking if they're like children, or, you know, like you saw Wayne on the wheelchair or something, and you were sort of feeling sort of caring and taking care. And
it's one of the things, isn't it, to care about someone that you don't know. That's a strange thing that with this understanding is to care about people who don't know. And when I was working last year, I was working in Eastbourne. I said this story over and over, but an old lady fell over on the other side of the road, and had all these people just walking past her, and I got offended that, like, people would just walk past. So I crossed over the road and just to help someone, and it's just to not, when you stop thinking about yourself, it just opens you up, doesn't it? And when you stop judging yourself, you stop judging other people. And that's the thing. And I suppose learning to love yourself, that's such a big thing. I didn't like myself, then learning to love yourself, and I suppose that's what allows you to love others, isn't it? And to open up to that, to be able to open up, to feel nice. So, what is the time? I have no idea of the time.
Probably like 5 a.m. or something.
Possibly.
But, you know, we can't have enough of it.
We can't.
Yeah. Anyway, but we all need dinner, and
I've not eaten.
So
Dave, from both of us, thank you. And from everyone,
thank you for letting me be a part of it, and thank you everyone for your kind words. You know, when people send comments, I've not done talk so long. I feel like, what are they talking about me? I did like I get a bit shy, not a bit shy. I just didn't really know what to say. But your words, kind words, meant a lot. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. And I'd love to come back.
Oh, it would be lovely to have you back again. And Derek said, thank you, Lily. Sorry, I have to leave. Love to all. And Liliana said, I'm going, guys. Love you lots. Thank you. And Susan says, thank you so much, guys. David, if people want to contact you or ask your questions, is that possible? Can they contact you?
Yeah, on Facebook. I will get back to you. It might not be the same day, but yeah.
But you're happy for people to
I'm
contact
happy,
you.
yeah.
But we'll just put sort of they just find you by your name, so David Saunders, and we'll put it underneath. Thank you so much. That it's been incredible. You've been here forever with us, so thank you. It's been an absolute dream of us to have you. Next week on Wednesday as well, we're going to have Giles P. Croft, and Giles is he's still actually a neurosurgeon, and he then graduated as a psychologist, and then he wasn't sort of happy with his life, and then he sort of lost himself, and lots of things happened in his life, which we're going to let him tell you about it. And when he found this understanding, again, really, really changed his life. And now he's working intensively on mental health with people, and on especially with people like with PTSD and anxiety, and to help them see what can be seen and how lives can be changed around. So that's going to be
next week. Next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time,
and it's called something. You had the name.
I did have the name. Reconnecting with health and happiness.
Reconnecting with health and happiness. So we'll see you then, and thank you for being here, and lots of love to you, I have. Which is as much part of this as you, because we cannot love her with all the love
that you
have. So see you soon.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Love.
Bye.
Bye.